Today, we're going to talk about a windfall. What to do if you get money in a sort of way of a bonus. Someone in your family has passed away. There could have been an accident, a lawsuit, or you win the lottery. All these are types of windfalls. And let's talk about what to do with certain amounts of money and what I have done and what was hard for me. $1,000. To me, that was an easy number. I would just put that into my checking account, savings account, as if it were income. To me, that was an easy one. 10,000. That was also pretty easy. I started to, as the number got bigger, I started putting percentages to them. And you can do this with any amount of money. And that's what I want to encourage you to do is have a system in place for your money. Be prepared for a windfall because you could view you getting a paycheck every week, every 2 weeks, every month as a windfall. And if you don't have a plan for it, that's where you get in trouble and the money just disappears. And sometimes we spend more than we earn. All right, $10,000. What I started to do when the number got bigger, as I'm going through this exercise with myself, my wife, and writing it down, which I also encourage you to do, 10%, right? $10,000, 10%, $1,000 was going to go towards giving, just giving it. Now, that could also be true for the $1,000 or $100 or whatever that is. 10%, give it. That could be to a religious organizations for yourself. For me and Elle, we love to do random acts of kindness. And we have a lot of fun with that. That could be towards anything at any time. So it's planned spontaneity. And we really, really enjoy that. $100,000. Let's say that you've gotten a $100,000 check. What do you do with it? Well, 10% is $10,000. That's a lot of giving. Now, it doesn't have to be all at one time. You can choose to do that, but it can be over a period of time, months, or maybe even years. Maybe you hold on to that and you save it while you also are saving more money to give to a cause that comes up on your journey. You're like, yes, I want to give $20,000 to XYZ. Or maybe you're mentoring someone, a single mother that has a kid that wants to buy her kid a car. The teenager just started driving. Maybe you can put some money towards that. Or there's some medical issues someone come across. There's so many things that are out there for you to help and give to. It's a beautiful world when you start to give. $100,000 and $10,000 been given. That means you got $90,000 left. What do you do? Well, this is where we would teach you to continue to follow the 5 steps to financial freedom. Where are you on that journey? Hi, friend. We'll get back to the episode in 1 second, but we want to give you a free gift for joining us today. It's a 3-part free workshop where you get to learn how to get a 10% raise without doing more work. Then we're going to teach you what to do with that extra money. Because the end goal is for you to start living your ideal life years, if not decades sooner. So, do you need to get out of debt? Do you want to spend more on the life that you want to live? Or maybe you want to invest that extra income. All of these things are in this free workshop. Just go to sentinelcoaching.com/raise. That's sentinelcoaching.com/raise. Now back to the episode. Are you just getting started and getting out of debt? Right. That step number 2 is to get out of debt completely. Once you pay off all of your debts, except for your mortgage. Then number 3 is to have a fully funded emergency fund. That's 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then number 4 is to start investing. That's 10 to 20% of your income. Now, if you viewed this $100,000 as income, which I would as well, 20% of that into, let's say that you've paid off all of your debts. You're listening to this and you wanted to get started on investing. Well, Why don't you put $20,000 into investing? It's a beautiful place to start. Then you have another $70,000 that you get to go on to the next step, which is number five, and that's to pay off your house early. It's a lot of fun when you reduce that mortgage by large sums of money. And then you get to celebrate financial freedom. Let's say that you've even got your house paid off, or you choose to not do one of these steps. You can increase your lifestyle. You can go on a trip. You can go and take your family to Switzerland on a ski trip. There's so many options out there that you get to do and live your life. The biggest thing is have fun and don't go backwards. What I mean is, just because you have $100,000 doesn't mean you need to go and finance a bigger house. You don't need to increase your house by $500,000. And keep that in mind. Keep your lifestyle in check, but have fun. Now, let's say that you receive, or maybe you won a lottery and you got $1 million. Boom. 10% is still $100,000. Now you get to give $100,000 away. That's a lot of fun. What would you do? Where would you give to? Is it to church? Is it to your family that's in need? Some of the things that I struggled with, which was interesting, $100,000 and below was easy. And then I did the next example was 10 million. 10 million was easy, but 1 million was the hardest exercise that I had to do, which I thought was pretty funny because that's how much money I have. And giving away $100,000 if I received 1 million in whatever way it came, it was this kind of limbo of, if I have that money in a savings account, do I just give off of that top, right? Whatever I receive from the 100,000, or do I slowly do it? Do I give it all away at once? I didn't know the answer completely. And maybe and it doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be you have to give away all $100,000 that month, and you don't have to save all 100. You can do a combination. But I sat with that number the longest. And it was a lot of fun. Some of the things, the specifics, right? I got down into the nitty gritty of how much could I help my parents, right? What would I help them do around the house? What would we do to increase our lifestyle with the additional $900,000 in this example? Would we upgrade the RV? Probably not. Would we go out to dinner more? Maybe. Would we increase our lifestyle? Most definitely. And some of the things that Elle and I came up with were definitely healthcare related. And we relate healthcare to more massages. I believe that I would go more business or first class flights wherever I'm going. And that's an increase of lifestyle for us because we don't currently do that. So that's what I encourage you to do. Get into the nitty gritty, like the details, like how much would you spend? And again, go back to the 5 steps to financial freedom. If you're busy paying off debt, man, write a check that day. Get out of debt. I promise, if you don't like being debt free, you can always go back into more debt. There's always an opportunity to do that. But once you figure that out, you're going to learn, oh, it is so much fun to be debt free. And then if you get to pay your house off with any of these paychecks, bonuses, or lump sums of money, man, do that. Not having rent or a mortgage is a really awesome place to be. People often mind blown at how little Elle and I spend for life, and that's because we have our spending in control and we give none of our money to the banks or credit card companies. There's no interest on anything because we own everything that we have. Which leads me into the future Mike. The future Mike, say 10, 20, maybe even 30 years from now, I will buy a house, or when I buy a house, I will pay for it in cash. So I have money savings, I have savings and investments set aside specifically for that because I know I am never going to borrow money again. That's it. I'm never going to borrow money again. And at that time, let's say it's 20 years from now, but oh, you're so lucky to have $1 million or whatever that number is at the time to be able to buy a house. No, I didn't even make the decision today. I made this decision 15, 20 years ago that I'm going to pay for my next house in cash. So I had to get out of debt. I had to have savings and I have to have investments to help me pay for that in the future. So I'm not going to be lucky. I've made this decision years ago. So most likely some of that money in any of these examples are going to go into investments for me, for future Mike, for future purchases. So they're going to be invested well. And this number was even easier with a $10 million windfall. $10 million. So 10% is $1 million gone to giving. Man, that's a lot of giving. That's a lot of fun. You can help a lot of charities, create organizations, build international schools, and be involved, hands on in that. Because you still got another $9 million. What are you going to do with it? Increase lifestyle? Yes. And then invested. And when that money's invested, that money will then pay you in income for you to continue to live your life forever. And it's been a lot of fun to dream and write and plan for those things. Because when you plan for those things, then they typically come true, right? 15, 20 years ago, when I was dreaming about having $1 million, well, I got $1 million now. And how are you going to handle it? Because if you're not ready to handle it, you're not going to be rewarded with that. So I am a believer that you are giving the amount of money that you're mature enough to manage. And it's a beautiful place to be. I want you to mature. I want you to be able to handle that. That way, when that money comes, it doesn't disappear. So being in control is the key to this. And if you haven't already, be sure to go through our budgeting and debt elimination course because we'll walk you through not only how to tell your money what to do and be in control, you'll be able to dream and go into detail. We have exercises in detail of how you are going to do and spend that money. We want you to be wealthy. We want you to live the life you want to live. That's why it's called Ideal Life and Money Academy. So jump in and we'll see you in another video.